Hey everyone, Rob Stanley here with the Seller Growth Podcast, and today my special guest is Jeff Lieber. Hey Jeff, how's it going?
Going great, Rob. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. So we got a great one today. We're going to be talking about 7 Amazon FBA secrets that should double your sales. That's going to be an interesting one, Jeff, and better be some good info here. And I know you always bring good info. So why don't we kick it off and start with what's the first secret or first tip? You know, they call it secret or tips. What's the first tip that you would give to some of the Amazon sellers that, possibly could help them double their sales?
Yeah, sure. First, thank you so much for having me on. And looking forward to all this. So the first tip would just be I've been selling on Amazon since 2014 and it's changed a lot. And so if you're newer to the game and you haven't seen the change, like step one and the biggest tip is you have to, if you're going to sell on Amazon, you have to commit to dominating on Amazon. You have to put in the time and really take it seriously. The days of just throwing up a product listing, a copycat product that looks like a hot niche that you found, on Jungle Scout or some software, and I'm just going to throw it up and get some photos and hope that it just takes off. Those days are over. And it takes more of committing and putting in the time and putting in the resources to build a brand and really focus on Amazon. And so if you're going to do it, I highly recommend that you just take it seriously and put in the time. And it's not just going to happen in a week. You're not going to become a millionaire in a month. So it's just knowing that you really need to dedicate the time to it. That's tip number one.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And yeah, the Me Too products. I mean, you and I both know. So here's the funny thing. Jeff and I actually were selling at the same time. And my warehouse was actually in the same area where he lives. So that was really crazy. And we kind of indirectly knew each other. So that was really kind of crazy because we ended up coming back around and meeting again. And the Me Too products, I mean, they used to kill it though, right, Jeff? I mean, it used to be you just threw anything up in let's call it the 2013, 2014 era. And it didn't matter, but that has definitely changed. That it's a whole different game here. So let's keep continuing on. So go ahead, Jeff. What's kind of tip number 2 on how people can learn from this and basically try to double their sales?
Sure. So number 2 is even if you only have one product, that's fine. Or if you're thinking about what product to sell, but tip number 2 is to build a brand of amazing products that complement. So ideally you want to, come out with multiple products under one brand serving the same customer. Because again, the days of I'm going to sell this supplement and then I'm also going to sell, this iPhone case, and just being in all these different niches just because it looks like a great product opportunity. It's so hard to do that now. So I highly recommend that you're building a brand. So if you sell a yoga mat as your first product, think what else can I sell to that customer, right? Whether it's yoga blocks, maybe it's digital products, maybe it's yoga training. There's so much. What else can you do to serve that customer? And that's going to just help you build that audience, build that customer for life so that you can keep getting more sales. You don't just make money and make a huge business off of just a one-time purchase product. Ideally, you either have a repeat purchase product. That's a super ideal situation. If it's a repeat product, it's deodorant or a supplement, something like that. That's awesome. But also another way to do it is to get complementary products that serve that same customer so that you can be building that customer both on Amazon and off of Amazon eventually.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'm sure I have a feeling we're going to talk a little more about the off Amazon coming up at some point here. But hey, everybody, welcome again to the Seller Growth Podcast. I have Jeff Lieber from Turnkey Product Management, and we are talking about basically 7 tips to help you try to double your sales. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure it's down in the corner. It's a big white thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. And if you're on Facebook, obviously hit the like, and YouTube, hit that subscribe also. So thanks again, everybody. And we are taking questions. So if you have any comments, feel free to put them in the comment section as we go, and Jeff will be happy to answer them, or I will. So Jeff, on to tip number 3. Take it away.
Yeah, so tip number 3 is obviously you need to have an amazing high converting product listing or product listings if you've got multiple products. And a lot of people just graze over this. So, we talked with so many brands every single week. We're on the phone with, dozens of businesses. So we get to see the whole gamut of the best in the world to, some of the worst ones that we've seen. And And even the companies that are, say, doing $1 million or a couple $1 million a year, we still look at their listings and we can always find at least one tweak, one thing that they're missing from their listing. So one example is actually, some of you may have heard of John Lee Dumas, the host of the EO Fire podcast, really awesome guy. And he sells journals, these awesome planner journals and productivity journals. And so we actually started working with him, and he had an awesome product, awesome, pretty good listing, and he was getting good sales. But we came in and just, he didn't know he could put video and different variations on all of his product listings. There's a few tweaks. He didn't have the perfect A+ content. So we came in and helped tweak those things and literally doubled his conversion rate in just a month is all that it took. And then actually doubled his sales in his business within 60 days. And so that's just one example of knowing that. And so at the end here, we'll give you what we call our product listing checklist, totally for free, so that we've got our list of every little thing, so you can just go through it and be like, which one am I missing? I almost guarantee you're missing one of those things that can improve your listing. And so we'll give that to you guys, so you can just plug that into your listing and boost your sales. Because without that, if you have a low converting listing, no strategies that I can give you, whether it's Amazon ads or whether it's off Amazon traffic, it's not going to work very well. So you need to have those foundational pieces in place and get high conversions. Yeah.
So a question did come in, Jeff, but just everybody hang tight, because definitely at the end, I will make sure you get that link that Jeff's talking about, and I'll tell you how to get to it. But Jeff, a question did come in, and it was asking, and it was kind of a long question, so I'll just kind of like paraphrase it for them. They were basically asking, like, when it comes to new sellers, when you're talking about listings, what is kind of like the number one thing you see that is kind of a mistake new sellers make on their listing? And I know there's probably a lot of them, but is there one that maybe stands out a little bit more?
When they're starting out, I would say get Amazon brand registry as fast as possible. Like get applied for that if you haven't already, because that really opens up so many doors for you and opportunities on Amazon. Things like adding video onto your product listings, A+ content can be so powerful these days. So there's the Amazon IP Accelerator program is another way to apply for it faster. So definitely, if you haven't done that yet, make sure that is in your plans, because you want to even do that even before you launch, ideally, in an ideal world. So, but yeah, video is a low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. I think that's just especially depending on your product. So many products can be sold so much better through video, right? As opposed to just, static photos and a bunch of sales copy, block text. A video can just be so powerful. Even a crappy video can really actually do wonders for your listing. So you don't need to have like a world-class Super Bowl commercial in order to see success with that.
Yeah, and I'm big when it comes to videos. I always tell people they need to have videos. Of course, my videos were more on the YouTube side, but still it translates over. I was able to, obviously make be successful making YouTube how-to videos on the iPhone take-aparts, which drove people to my site. Same sort of thing. You are basically giving somebody a video look at your product, maybe how it works, or maybe a feature on it. And those just always do well. So I think I may have lost where we are. It might be on number 4, I think. So go ahead with tip number 4, Jeff. Oh, wait. Sure. Everybody make sure to hit that like and subscribe, please. All right, go with tip number 4.
Yeah, no worries. Also, just one other tip on that as well, like a really easy place to start is we had a client just last month. They're doing over 100K a month in sales, so they're doing super well. But we use the software Splitly to help do a split test. And we simply just tested one main image versus another. It sounds simple, but it literally one image outperformed by 40%. And when you're doing 100K a month, that really makes a big impact. So you can do, small split tests like that on images, on A+ content, on your title. So just wanted to throw that out there, because that's really something you could do, later today. Okay. So the next tip is, when you're launching a product for the first time, one mistake that we see people do is they will simply throw the kitchen sink at their listing, which is great. I love the idea of it, but they throw everything that they have day one, and that's, they just really go for it. So if they have an email list, social media, they just blast it all out, and they put they just commercialize it everywhere, and they do get a flood of traffic and sales. That's awesome. But then day two, they didn't have anything else planned, right? Because they already went all in and they were out of chips. And so, yeah, they got a little bit of trickle, from leftover traffic the day before. But the biggest tip that I've seen is make sure to strategically, plan out your traffic. So let's say you've got an email list and those other assets, maybe only email, maybe 250 or 500 people on your email list in day one. So like one little segment. And then maybe day two is another 250. And then day three is another 250. And you can adjust those numbers based on how the sales are going. So, and let's say you've got multiple social media channels and you've got an influencer lined up. If you've got all these pieces, don't do them all on one day. It's nice to space those out. So maybe you do Instagram on, Instagram posts on day one and a Facebook post day two, just because you're going to see a lot better ranking and spiking the algorithm if you get consistent traffic, over a couple of weeks. So that's just one other tip that we've seen.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I appreciate the follow up on that previous tip also. And that's some great information. So everybody, we are open to any questions. If you guys have any questions that you'd like to hear Jeff answer, or you have a question regarding some of these tips he's doing, please feel free to post those. We do need to break for a quick commercial, and hang in there, everybody.
This content is brought to you by Accrueme, the business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers. If you're a profitable Amazon seller looking for capital to grow your profits, click the link around this video or visit accrueme.com for a no-risk funding estimate in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Seller Growth Podcast. And today I got Jeff Lieber from Turnkey Product Management, and we're talking about 7 secrets or tips basically to help double your sales. And I think we're on 5, if I'm not mistaken. I keep losing track. I got to write these down. But hit that like and subscribe. And Jeff, take it away with tip number 5.
Sure. So tip number 5 is what we call our turnkey Amazon bullseye traffic system. So it's a mouthful, but it's basically what we recommend for infusing traffic into your listing and getting those sales on a consistent basis. And so we had one client called VitaCup Coffee. Some of you may have heard of them. They're now pretty big now in retail stores and Targets and all over the place now. And we started with them when they were just launching and starting out. They were doing about $7,000 a month on Amazon when we started with them. And they were also doing a Shopify store as well, but they were really focused on the Shopify piece. And so we focused on Amazon. They're like, we need someone to just come in and optimize that and run it and manage it because they don't have time. That wasn't their expertise. And we helped grow that to over $180,000 a month within 6 months of working with them. So it was, I think, one of the fastest growing companies that we've ever had the pleasure of working with. And one of the things that really helped was what we call our bullseye traffic system. And so I'll talk about the Amazon PPC ads in a minute. That's one piece of it. But the other piece of the puzzle is we just recommend that you just find one additional non-Amazon traffic source to utilize and send traffic to Amazon from time to time. And for different companies, it's going to be a different answer. It doesn't matter what traffic source it is. Like you mentioned, Rob, that, your expertise was with YouTube videos, right? So if you have that capability, I would recommend that should be your, bread and butter, and you should be using that. But most people aren't great at that. And so they should play to their strength. So let's say that in your business, you've done a great job of building a social media following. That's awesome. Then you use that as your traffic source. But if you don't, let's say you don't have an audience, right? And you're like, well, I'm just starting out and I didn't have time to build an audience yet. So what do I do? So you can use other traffic, right? You can use paid traffic. You can use Facebook ads. You can use YouTube ads. You can use Google ads. Those are a few. You can also use influencers. You can use other people's audiences, right, that are complementary, like not direct competitors to you, but maybe they're complementary. So there's so many different options, right? There's hundreds of possible traffic sources, probably even thousands. And so I just asked you to just pick one and just try it and test it. Play to your strengths, do something you're comfortable with, and choose one and try it and send that traffic to Amazon. Whether it's during a launch or even if it's post-launch and you're hearing this and you're like, well, I already launched my product 6 months ago. Well, that's okay. It's good to do it consistently over time as well. So I recommend just choose one, go for it, try it, and try to measure the results best you can. If it's not working, then cross that one off the list and try another one. And so, but at the end of the day, hopefully if you're measuring it and being like, wow, that worked, right? Or that didn't work, I'm going to try a different one. The end goal within 6 months or so, you should have found at least one traffic channel that is reliable for you and is working. And once you find that that's working, then I want you to double down on it. So if it's your YouTube videos, then maybe you're doing 1 YouTube video a month, maybe up that to 4 a month, right? Or something like that. So that's the big tip, is because on Amazon today, it's very hard to be super successful if you're just only on that Amazon island and everything is just inside of Amazon. Because with the new Amazon algorithm and how it's structured, they really love tracking and rewarding people that bring external traffic to the Amazon platform. So I highly recommend that you find what works best for you.
Yeah, it's good information. And we actually did have a question come in. So basically somebody was asking about, what about selling on other platforms? What's kind of your thought on it? And they specifically mentioned, I mean, we know about Shopify, which they did mention, but they were also mentioning things like Walmart and eBay. Kind of what's your thought on that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, our most successful clients that we've ever had, they tend to be multi-channel, but that doesn't mean that they started, selling on 4 different channels. So again, it just depends where you're at. That's why, like, when we talk with clients to see if we can help them, the answer is different for everyone. It's really need to look at where they're at. What is, some companies come to us and they're, they've got, VC funding, they've raised $1 million already. And they're like, we need to spend this in the next, 2 quarters. And so, but most people aren't in that boat. So if that's the company situation, then they can afford to be like, okay, I'm going to go heavy on Amazon and Shopify. I think those are the 2 to really focus on first. But most people, if you're say just starting out, or you're say sub 10 grand a month, something like that, I would really try to focus like 80%, 90% of your efforts on one channel. I typically recommend Amazon. It's just easier to get started. The traffic, the buyers, they're already there. They already trust Amazon. You just need to find a way to get your product in front of them. And then I would say Shopify is a great number 2, even if you just throw up a Shopify site just to like at least have it there and start getting some orders. So yeah, those are the 2 I would recommend starting. But once your capabilities, you start getting some cash flows and bandwidth, maybe you're building a team, or maybe you found an agency to manage Amazon, you found an agency to manage, your paid ads. Once you get those things going, then you can start adding on those other channels. But I don't recommend, if you're just starting out, don't go on Amazon, Shopify, Walmart, eBay all at once, because you're just going to be spread too thin, is what I've seen happen in the past.
Yeah, I agree with that. As you know, I was on all the different platforms, but I actually started on eBay, 1998, I think it was. So Amazon to me in 2013 was the new platform, but I totally agree with you. Start on Amazon and then, figure out where you want to go from that. Most people, like you said, are either doing Shopify, or at some point, once they've grown, they're going into Walmart, which is great. And then there's other ones. I mean, don't get us wrong. So we're literally only 2 tips away from finishing up here. So make sure, if you want to get those comments in, please put them in the comment section. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not watching it live, still post a comment, because I'll contact Jeff and we'll make sure that we get your comment or question answered. So Jeff will get me a reply if you do have a question that, obviously after the live podcast here and after the live video. So Jeff, heading in, we got 2 more to go. So we're on number 6. Take it away with number 6, tip number 6 on basically secrets or ways to hopefully double your sales.
Sure. So, tip number 6 is, one staple of being successful, especially on Amazon, is Amazon advertising, right? They've become one of the top advertisers in the world, with competing with the likes of Google and Facebook, because their traffic is just, it's buyers that they're the biggest e-commerce platform in the world, and they have got so many buyers. And especially if you're like a new brand that you don't have a ton of reviews and you're not able to rank on page 1 yet, the fastest way obviously to get on page 1 or page 2 and get in front of buyers is through paying for it, right? Paying 30 cents or 50 cents per click, and trying to get that traffic. So make sure, if you're not already, highly recommend dedicating time and resources and money to Amazon PPC ads, because it can be the most profitable engine of your business. And so definitely start with Amazon Seller Central PPC ads. It's largely keyword based. You can also do some what we call competitor ASIN targeting. You can do retargeting ads. So there's a lot that you can do there. So definitely recommend maximizing that. If you don't have the, ideally, if you're just starting out or something, definitely want to be spending at least a few $1,000s a month is what you want to work up towards. But if it's profitable and your ACoS is healthy, keep scaling that. And try to get it to 10, 20 grand a month eventually, if you can control those ACoS levels and still maintain your profitability. So that's the one piece on the PPC ads front is you gotta maximize that, whether you do it yourself or whether you have an expert doing it for you. And then the other piece of it is, let's say once you're doing typically about $1 million a year or above, that's typically the threshold that I would recommend you start looking at testing Amazon DSP advertising. So most of you have probably heard of it by now, but it's still through Amazon. It's an Amazon ad platform, but it's just a little bit different. There's a lot more variety of what you can do. You can also run ads when people are not on the Amazon platform, because Amazon owns all these other websites, and they can distribute ads and retarget people when they're on their phone, when they're on different apps, on different websites. And so you can bring those customers back. There's so many powerful things you can do on the Amazon DSP ad side. But again, it's only like a level 2 thing. Once you've conquered the Seller Central PPC ads and you've proven to be profitable, then I would consider using Amazon DSP ads. You can go directly to Amazon to do that, but they're going to have, I think nowadays it's like a $15,000 a month minimum test budget, which scares the crap out of me. But if you find an agency like ours, Turnkey, we went through the training and the onboarding to become a self-service provider of Amazon DSP, then we can, because we have so many clients using it, we can choose whatever budgets we want. So we can do as little as like $2,000 for a test budget, and either it works really well, which it usually does, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you tried. So so those are just 2 pieces of the puzzle that definitely recommend utilizing.
Yeah, so we're coming up on number 7. So last chance to get any of those comments in while on the live podcast. And hang tight real quick for a quick sponsor break. All sellers are looking to grow their business. Why not take advantage of the Accrueme.com Grow Now and Pay Later option? Accrueme is not a bank. They truly only win when you win with growth capital funding. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Accrueme.com now. Be sure to mention the podcast. Yeah, so if you head on over to Accrueme.com, fill out the free 3-minute instant funding estimate. Be sure to mention the podcast. I would definitely appreciate that. And again, welcome back to Seller Growth Podcast. I got Jeff Lieber from Turnkey Product Management, and we're talking about basically how 7 tips to try to double your sales or your profits. And we're actually right on to number 7. So Jeff, without further ado, what is the final tip? And again, any last chance to get in comments, hit that like and subscribe also. Go ahead, Jeff.
Awesome. So step 7 is one of the biggest mistakes that we see the solopreneur trying to do everything themselves. So I highly recommend if you're really taking your business seriously and trying to scale to the next level, it needs to grow beyond you. So I recommend investing in experts, building a team. Just do not do it alone. It's going to be very, very difficult to be able to do everything if you're managing everything from the PPC to the product sourcing to the launches to the ads. I mean, it's just it's not possible to do it, and you need to have really, really skilled people that are true experts in that activity. Like Amazon PPC is one great example. It's like, it's very numbers driven. It's very technical. There's so much that goes into it. It's changing all the time. And it's not something you can just put an hour in a week or an hour a month and expect to see amazing results. You're going to get beat by your competition. So highly recommend that, you make sure you line up your proper team, whether you want to build that team in-house. That's awesome if you can do that. If you're good at hiring and managing and training, or you can invest in experts that specialize in that, like an agency or different companies, that you trust, that you just leave it to them, and they got to prove themselves, right? It's either they're going to do what they say and deliver value and grow your sales, and you're going to be happy, or it may not work with every agency. Everyone's different, but if you never try, you'll never know. And if it's not working, then you cut it and say, sorry, this just isn't working, and you try something else. But if you're trying to get to 7 figures and 8 figures and beyond, I highly recommend having an expert team that's managing Amazon, and then eventually, because you want to free up your time to go eventually focus on an expert team that's managing Shopify and paid ads, and that's how you grow to 7 and 8 figures and beyond. So highly recommend that you don't do it by yourself.
Yeah, so there you go. There's the 7 tips to basically help you try to double your sales on Amazon. And again, I have Jeff Lieber from Turnkey Product Management joining me today, and I really do appreciate it. And again, if there's any questions and you're watching this video after we've gone live, feel free to still post them. I'll get a hold of Jeff. We'll make sure to get you those answers. And what you've been waiting for, if you're still listening and you're at the end here, the best way to get a hold of this free tip sheet that Jeff has is head on over to accrueme.com, go to the podcast page. I actually have this video up. You can watch it if you came in late. And in the description area of that podcast, there will be a link that will take you over to that free resource that Jeff was talking about. And if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a checklist, right, Jeff, to help them out?
Yeah, we've actually got a bunch, like over $1,000 worth of free resources. But one of the biggest ones that people really like, because it's just so easy, is the product listing audit checklist. So it's, we'll give you all the things. Do you have video? Do you have this? Do you have that on your listing? If you have, 9 out of the 10, then you just be like, oh, there's the one I need to do, and that's my homework, and that will grow your conversion rate. But there's other things there as well, depending on what you need in your business. And there's also, if you're really wanting to grow your business to the next level, there should be a book a call button with us where we can take a look at your business, see where you're at, see where you want to go, and see if we're the right fit to help get you there. We're always happy to talk with businesses that want to grow. So we'll put it there at where you mentioned at your website. Yeah,
so head on over to accrueme.com, go to the podcast section. Like I said, when you click on the video on the right description, there will be a link there to take you over to Jeff and all his resources over there. And on behalf of the Seller Growth Podcast, I'm Rob Stanley. I'd like to thank my guest, Jeff Lieber, for being on with us. And I hope everybody has a great one. Join us each week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the live podcast. And see you guys next week.